You sent them to me, Lucia, I whispered, holding her phone up as the color drained from her face. You actually sent me photos of you and him. She froze, realizing she'd just destroyed herself with one careless tap. What came next wasn't a fight, it was a masterpiece of quiet revenge, crafted to make her lose everything she valued most. Viewers, what would you do if the person you trusted handed you the knife they used to betray you? Subscribe, like, comment and watch till the ending this interesting story to family and friends. My name is Divine Okoro, and I used to believe loyalty was the strongest glue in a marriage. I believed that when two people promised forever they meant it, not until someone wealthier, more exciting or more convenient showed up. I'm 36 years old, an architect from Lagos, and for most of my adult life, I thought I'd built the perfect story. A beautiful wife, a stable business and a home filled with laughter. Her name was Lucia, my wife of 6 years. I met her when she was still in law school, working part-time at a cafe to pay her rent. I remember the first day I saw her. She was arguing with a customer who refused to pay for coffee, fire in her eyes, dignity in her posture. I fell for that fire. And for years I believed that fire burned only for me. We built everything together. When she graduated, I paid for her law certification, encouraged her when she doubted herself, and celebrated her first job at a corporate firm. She used to tell me, "You're my piece, Divine." And I believed her, every single time. Until that night. It was almost midnight, the city quiet, the hum of my desk lamp filling the silence. I was alone in my home office, finishing a design sketch for a new client, a hotel project I'd been dreaming to land for months. Lucia had already gone to bed an hour earlier after sending me a goodnight text. "Don't stay up too late, love, red heart." I smiled when I read it, letting her words warm the room. Then my phone buzzed again. Another message from her. I remember thinking maybe she was teasing me, one of those late-night playful texts that made us feel like newlyweds again. But when I opened it, my heart stopped. It was a photo. Lucia. Naked. Lying on a bed I didn't recognize. Her hand wrapped around another man's chest. For a few seconds I thought maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it was old or edited or something, anything that could make sense. Then came another photo. Closer this time. More intimate. And then a short video. My breath caught in my throat. I froze, my mind refusing to connect the dots. Then the next message came in. "Sorry babe, face blowing a kiss wrong, Divine." That was the moment everything inside me went cold. She'd saved him under my name. She'd been lying not just in the dark, but right in front of my eyes. I sat back in silence, staring at the glowing screen. The weight of betrayal didn't hit me all at once. It sank in slowly like poison spreading through my chest. And in that silence I made a decision. If Lucia thought she could fool me, she was about to learn. I don't explode in anger. I plan in silence. The next morning, sunlight crept into our bedroom like nothing had changed. Lucia was still asleep beside me, her hair spread across the pillow, her breathing slow and peaceful, like someone without a single secret. I watched her for a moment, studying her face, the way her lips curved slightly as if she was dreaming of something beautiful. Maybe of him. For the first time I saw her differently, not as my wife but as a stranger wearing the face of someone I used to love. When she finally stirred and opened her eyes, she smiled like she always did. "You're awake early," she murmured, stretching. I forced a smile. "Big day. Got to finalize the hotel design." She kissed my cheek. "You'll do great. You always do." I wanted to ask her where she went last night, who she was with, why she did it. But instead I just said, "Thanks," and stood up to make coffee. The smell of roasted beans filled the kitchen as she joined me, humming a song she used to love. She looked so normal, so casual, like the woman who'd sent me those photos didn't exist. And that made it worse. Every word she spoke felt rehearsed. Every movement felt like a performance. She poured herself juice and asked, "You're quiet. You okay?" "Just tired," I said. "Didn't sleep much." She reached over and squeezed my hand, pretending to care, pretending to love. Inside, I was memorizing everything, her tone, her lies, her comfort in deception. When she left for work, I watched from the window as she waved before driving away in the car I bought her. My phone buzzed, a message from my friend Derek. "Derek, yo, you up early? You good?" "Me, need your help." "Derek, what's wrong?" "Me, I need you to trace something." He didn't ask why. We'd been friends since university. He knew when my tone meant business. I sent him the images and the metadata. The moment I hit send, my stomach twisted as if confirming the betrayal made it real. Hours later, I was back at my desk trying to drown in work when Derek called. His voice was low. "Bro, you might want to sit down." My chest tightened. Tell me. These weren't taken last night, he said. Metadata shows the same location, 3 different dates. It's been going on for months. I didn't respond. I just stared at my computer screen, the lines of my blueprint blurring into chaos. Divine, Derek said quietly. You sure you're okay? I swallowed hard. Yeah. I just need to think. He hesitated. Whatever you're planning, man, be careful. I ended the call, stood from my chair, and looked at Lucia's framed graduation photo on my shelf. She was smiling, holding the certificate I'd paid for. Months, I whispered to myself. You've been lying for months. Then I smiled, calm, deliberate, almost frighteningly so. Because I'd made another decision. If she wanted to play games, I'd change the rules. For the next few days I said nothing. Not a single word about the photos, the message, or the man. I woke up beside Lucia, kissed her good morning, and went about my day as if the ground beneath our marriage wasn't cracking. She probably thought my silence meant peace, that whatever she was doing remained buried beneath her perfect lies. But silence for me had become a weapon. Every moment I spent pretending was a calculation. Every smile was a mask hiding the slow burn of my strategy. On Friday evening I came home earlier than usual. Lucia was on the couch, scrolling through her phone, a faint smile playing on her lips. She quickly locked the screen when she saw me. Hey babe, she said, all warmth and normalcy. Hey, I replied just as calm. She asked if I wanted dinner and I nodded. While she cooked, I walked around the house, taking quiet inventory of what she thought was hers. The furniture I bought, the art she picked, the jewelry I gifted her. Everything around me was a reminder of how much of myself I'd poured into someone who'd been giving pieces of me to another man. At dinner, I looked at her across the table and said, We haven't gone out in a while. She blinked, surprised. Out? Like where? I smiled faintly. Dinner. Just us. Somewhere nice. Her eyes lit up, that same fake warmth she'd used to melt me every time. That sounds perfect. Saturday? Yeah, I said. I'll make the reservation. And I did. At the Royal Crest Hotel, the same one visible in the mirror from those photos. She didn't notice. The next day, I told her I had a morning meeting at the firm, but I drove to Derek's place instead. He greeted me at the door with his laptop open. I found something, he said. He pulled up a map. The photos were taken at Royal Crest. Same room, 509. I clenched my jaw. 509. Bro, he continued, the guy in the picture. I think I've seen him before. Isn't that Adrian Cole? The investor your wife's firm represents. It hit like a slap. Adrian Cole, the smooth-talking, silver wristwatch-wearing businessman I'd met at a corporate gala last year. He'd shaken my hand, smiled, and said, You're a lucky man, Divine. Lucia's a gem. The memory made my stomach twist. I nodded slowly. Yeah, that's him. Derek sighed. What are you gonna do? I smiled, though there was no joy in it. Nothing yet. When I returned home, Lucia was already dressed up, glowing with effort. You look beautiful, I said, meaning it, even if the beauty now disgusted me. As we drove to the hotel, I caught her reflection in the side mirror, smiling, humming, blissfully unaware that she was walking right back into the same place where she'd betrayed me. And as the city lights blurred past us, I whispered silently to myself, Tonight, Lucia, the game begins. The hotel lobby was lit with golden light, soft jazz drifting through the air. The irony hit me. How many nights had she walked through these same glass doors, her heart racing, her perfume mixing with someone else's skin? Lucia looked radiant in her emerald dress, her hand looped through my arm. Feels good to have a date night again, she said, smiling. Yeah, I murmured. Feels familiar. The waiter led us to a table by the window, not far from the elevators. I had requested that spot on purpose. From where we sat, I could see the corridor leading to room 509. As we ordered, Lucia's phone buzzed twice. She glanced at it quickly and flipped it face down. Work? I asked, watching her. Yeah, just emails. You know how it is. I smiled. Of course. You work hard. But she didn't see the flicker in my eyes, the calm before a storm. Halfway through dinner, I excused myself to the restroom. Instead, I walked to the concierge desk. Excuse me, I said, lowering my voice. Can you check if Mr. Adrian Cole is staying in room 509 tonight? The clerk hesitated. I'm sorry, sir, we can't. I slipped a crisp note across the counter. He glanced at it, then nodded slightly. Yes, sir. He checked in this afternoon. My pulse pounded, not from anger but from focus. When I returned to the table, Lucia looked up, a hint of guilt flickering in her smile. Everything okay? She asked. Yeah, I said softly, sitting down. Everything's perfect. We finished dinner like strangers pretending to be in love. When the check came, I paid in cash, and as we stood, Lucia's phone buzzed again. This time I caught the name on the screen, Adrian. She quickly locked it, forcing a laugh. Spam. I'll block it later. Sure, I said, sliding my hands into my pockets. Outside, I walked her to the car, opened the door for her and said, I forgot my watch inside. I'll be right back. She nodded, oblivious. I walked straight to the elevator, pressed 5 and waited. The doors opened with a quiet chime. The hallway was empty, carpet muffling my footsteps. Room 509 glowed faintly under a golden number plate. I stood there for a moment, breathing in, feeling my chest tighten. Then I knocked. No answer. I knocked again. The door cracked open slightly. Adrian stood there in a towel, his face freezing when he saw me. Divine, he stammered. Evening, I said calmly. Small world, huh? For a second he didn't move. His phone buzzed on the nightstand behind him, Lucia's name lighting up the screen. I smiled faintly. Tell her dinner was great. And she looks beautiful tonight. Then I turned and walked away, leaving him pale, confused and trembling. The trap was set. Now all I had to do was let it close. When I slid back into the car, Lucia was scrolling through her phone, her fingers trembling slightly. She looked up and forced a smile. Everything okay? She asked. Yeah, I said. Just couldn't find my watch. Maybe I left it at home. She laughed softly, too softly. You and those watches. I smiled back. You know me. The drive home was quiet. She tried to fill the silence with meaningless talk, work drama, her friend's engagement, her favorite TV show, but every word felt like static. I nodded when she spoke, but my mind was somewhere else entirely. By the time we got home, I had already sent Derek a message. 509 confirmed. He's there. Start recording backup. See, I wasn't going to confront Lucia. Not yet. I wanted her to walk straight into her own lie, unprovoked, unprepared. That night, as she showered, I sat on the bed and stared at her phone on the nightstand. Locked, of course. But I'd already mirrored it through her cloud account. Something I set up months ago when I noticed she changed her passcode after a girl's trip. Minutes later, I watched her messages appear on my laptop screen in real time. Lucia, he almost found out tonight. My heart nearly stopped. Adrian, you're too reckless. You shouldn't have gone with him there. Lucia, relax. He's clueless. I'll see you tomorrow after work. I leaned back, my pulse steady. Not anger. Not pain. Just confirmation. In the morning, she kissed my cheek before leaving for work. I'll be home late, she said. Client dinner. I smiled. Of course. Take your time. After she left, I called Derek. Track her phone. I want every move from 5 p.m. onward. He chuckled. Man, this is straight out of a movie. No, I said quietly. Movies have happy endings. At 7:48 p.m., Derek sent me a live ping, Royal Crest Hotel. Room 509 again. I didn't go there this time. I didn't need to. Instead, I logged into the cloud drive where our home's hidden cameras uploaded data. A few weeks earlier, I had installed a new security upgrade, cameras hidden in the living room, kitchen, and even her study. What? Because guilt always leaks through behavior before confession. And at 9:03 p.m., Lucia stumbled into the house, hair messy, lipstick smeared, pretending to be tired from work. She didn't notice the faint red light blinking in the corner. Long day? I asked from the couch. The longest, she sighed, throwing her bag down. I nodded, turning the TV volume up slightly. Dinner's on the counter. She smiled tiredly and walked past me, never realizing that I'd already downloaded everything I needed. Timestamps, photos, messages, movement logs. The war had officially begun. But she wouldn't even see the first bullet coming. By Sunday morning, my plan had shape. Not revenge for revenge's sake. No. This was about truth. About stripping the illusion Lucia had built around her double life. When she came down for breakfast, she wore one of my shirts, pretending domestic peace. You're quiet again, she said, her voice soft, cautious. Just tired, I replied. Work's been heavy. She smiled faintly, leaned over to kiss me. The same lips that had whispered to another man less than 12 hours ago. I forced a smile back, then picked up my mug. Lucia, I said casually, remember when we first met? Her face lit up instantly. Of course. At the charity gala. You spilled wine on my dress. Yeah. I nodded. And you told me, a mistake doesn't define a man. She laughed softly. Still true. Maybe, I said, watching her eyes. But sometimes it reveals one. She didn't understand the weight in my tone. Not yet. When she left for work, I went to my office and opened a new folder on my laptop. Project Lucia. Inside, I began compiling everything. The mirrored texts, the hotel logs Derek sent me, the photos she'd accidentally forwarded, the security footage timestamps. By noon, I had enough to destroy her reputation, her job, her relationship with Adrian, and even her legal footing if she tried to divorce me for assets. But I didn't want chaos. Not yet. Chaos made people desperate. I wanted her composed, confident, until the very moment everything collapsed. That evening I called Adrian from an unknown number. He answered on the second ring, his voice low and cautious. Hello. Adrian, I said calmly. Divine here. There was silence. Then, Divine, listen man. No need, I interrupted. I just wanted to congratulate you. For what? He asked nervously. For picking the wrong man's wife. He tried to talk but I ended the call. 30 minutes later, Lucia's phone buzzed repeatedly. I knew it was him. I watched from the corner of the living room as she stared at the screen, pale, deleting messages one by one. Everything okay? I asked. Yeah, she said quickly. Just work stuff. I nodded slowly. You should be careful, Lucia. Some mistakes can't be deleted. Her eyes flicked to mine for a second. Something in my tone made her uncomfortable. But she brushed it off, retreating to her study. That night, as she slept beside me, I watched her face, peaceful, trusting, unaware. I should have felt satisfaction, maybe power. Instead, there was only quiet sadness. I whispered to the darkness, You did this to yourself, Lucia. Then I reached for my phone and sent Derek one message. Prepare phase 2. She'll see herself for who she is. The next day would be the beginning of her public unraveling. And the best part? She'd have no idea who was pulling the strings. Monday morning started like any other. Lucia left early for work, dressed in her signature cream suit and heels, humming faintly as she sipped her coffee. She kissed my cheek on her way out, a gesture so normal it almost felt cruel. As soon as her car pulled out of the driveway, I called Derek. Ready? I asked. He chuckled. Already in motion. You're gonna love this. By 9 a.m., the first domino fell. At Lucia's firm, an anonymous email landed in the inbox of her department head. A message containing blurred screenshots of her and Adrian, their faces partially visible, but the implication undeniable. The subject line read, Client relations should stay professional. Not enough to destroy her yet, just enough to make people whisper. By noon, Lucia texted me. Lucia, babe, something weird happened at work. Someone sent a stupid rumor about me. Don't believe it if you hear anything. Me, rumor? About what? Lucia, nothing serious. Just office drama. I'll handle it. Her casual tone couldn't mask the anxiety bleeding through every word. At lunch, I parked outside her office building, watching from across the street. Through the glass, I could see her pacing her cubicle, phone pressed to her ear, brows furrowed. Her assistant looked uncomfortable, glancing away every few seconds. Doubt was creeping in. Later that evening, she came home visibly tense. I don't know what's going on, she muttered, dropping her bag. Someone's trying to ruin me. I tilted my head, pretending concern. What do you mean? There's gossip flying around the office. People are saying things about me and a client. It's ridiculous. I frowned slightly. Which client? Adrian, she said quickly, then caught herself. But it's not true. You know that, right? I stared at her, steady, unreadable. Of course, I said. You'd never lie to me. She forced a smile, but her eyes darted away. That night she barely ate. She kept checking her phone, scrolling endlessly through messages, her hands trembling. At one point she muttered under her breath, Who would do this? I wanted to say you did this to yourself. But I held my tongue. The real storm hadn't even begun. When she finally fell asleep, I opened her work email through the mirrored access I'd set up. The office thread was buzzing. Rumors, screenshots, speculation. Adrian had tried to contain it, but the damage was spreading. I drafted a single follow-up email under a fake name and sent it to her HR director. Check the hotel logs from Royal Crest. Room 509 repeated visits. Should be easy to verify. It wasn't proof yet, but it would be by morning. As I shut my laptop, Lucia stirred beside me, whispering in her sleep, Please not now. The cracks were widening. Soon her entire world would fall through them. By the time Thursday arrived, the house felt different, heavy, quiet, tense. Lucia's laughter had disappeared, replaced by endless pacing, phone calls in hushed tones, and forced smiles that cracked too easily. That morning she barely spoke over breakfast. Her hands shook as she stirred her coffee. "I might take a few days off," she said, avoiding my eyes. "Work's been messy." I nodded slowly. "Messy how?" She hesitated. "They're saying I'm involved with a client. Adrian Cole. It's nonsense." "Of course," I said, my tone flat. "Why would they say that?" She exhaled shakily. "I don't know. Someone must be trying to hurt me. Maybe jealous coworkers. Maybe an ex-client. It's insane." Her phone buzzed again. She flinched. I caught a glimpse of the screen. "Adrian. Spam again?" I asked, smiling faintly. Her lips parted, then closed again. "I told him to stop calling," she whispered. I leaned forward, folding my hands on the table. "Lucia," I said softly, "when did you last see him?" Her eyes darted to me, wide and fearful. "Divine, why are you asking that?" "Just wondering," I replied. "Since he seems so eager to talk." Her face drained of color. She stood, backing toward the sink. "You're scaring me," she said. "Why are you acting like this?" I stood too, calm as ever. "Because," I said quietly, "I'm tired of pretending I don't already know." For a heartbeat, she froze. Then she whispered, "No, what?" I took my phone from my pocket, opened the gallery, and placed it on the counter. The screen lit up, the same photo she'd accidentally sent me. Her and Adrian, tangled in sheets, smiling at the camera. Her breath caught. She stumbled back, hand over her mouth. "No. No, Divine, that's not." "Don't," I interrupted gently. "Don't lie again. You've been lying for months." Tears filled her eyes, panic blooming across her face. "I made a mistake. It didn't mean anything. Please." "Didn't mean anything?" I said quietly. "You met him in the same hotel. The same room. Over and over. You risked everything. For what?" She sobbed. "I was lonely. You were distant. You were always working, always distracted." "And you fixed that," I said coldly, "by sending him photos of yourself? By making me a joke?" She dropped to her knees, clutching my hands. "Please, Divine. Don't destroy me. I'll do anything. I love you." I looked down at her, the woman who once held my heart now trembling like a stranger at my feet. "I used to love you," I said softly. "But the woman I loved died the moment she hit send." I pulled my hands free and walked away, leaving her sobbing on the kitchen floor. Behind me, I heard her whisper through her tears, "Please, don't tell anyone." But it was already too late. The world had started watching. By Friday morning, Lucia's world was already cracking wide open. I woke to the sound of her phone vibrating relentlessly. She sat on the edge of the bed, scrolling, her face pale and hollow. "Oh my God," she whispered, her voice breaking. "It's everywhere." I sat up slowly. "What's everywhere?" She turned the screen toward me. The company group chat. Screenshots. Photos. The same ones she sent me by accident. Now circulating among coworkers, whispered about in corridors, forwarded like wildfire. Someone had leaked them. Of course that someone was me, or rather Derek, through an untraceable account. I'd given the world just enough evidence to destroy her without ever showing my hand. Lucia stood up, shaking. "I can't go in today. They'll all be talking. Adrian, he won't answer my calls." I said nothing, only watching as she paced, muttering, her voice cracking under the weight of panic. By noon, HR had called her in. By 3, she was home again, eyes swollen, mascara streaked, clutching a small box of office belongings. "They fired me," she said quietly, almost disbelieving. "They said it's for image protection." I worked there for 7 years, Divine." I nodded slowly. "That's rough." She looked at me, searching my face. "You don't even care, do you?" I met her gaze. "You cared about Adrian more than your job. Why would I care more than you did?" She flinched like I'd slapped her. "You're cruel," she whispered. I leaned back in my chair. "No, Lucia. I'm patient. Cruel is what you did." That night, the silence in the house was deafening. She sat by the window, staring at nothing while I worked on my laptop in the living room. Every now and then, she'd glance toward me, as if trying to read what was left of the man she'd betrayed. Around 9 p.m., Derek texted me. Phase 3 complete. Her lover's company suspended him pending investigation. I didn't reply. I just stared at the message, then at Lucia. She was broken, small, lost. A far cry from the confident woman who once looked at me like I was lucky to have her. A few minutes later, she approached me quietly. "Divine," she whispered, "I know I've hurt you, but please, stop this. Whatever you're doing, please stop. I can't breathe anymore." I looked up at her, eyes red, voice shaking, and said calmly, "I'm not doing anything, Lucia. You're just watching your truth catch up with you." She covered her face, sobbing uncontrollably. "I don't deserve this." "Maybe not," I said softly. "But you earned it." As she cried, I turned off my laptop and stood. "You should get some rest." Then I walked out of the room, leaving her alone with the echo of her own destruction. Outside, the night was quiet, peaceful. Inside, her world had finally collapsed. 2 weeks passed. The house was a ghost, silent, heavy with memories that no longer belonged to us. Lucia barely spoke. She stayed in bed most days, blinds drawn, the woman who once demanded control of every room now afraid to step outside. Adrian had vanished, his company suspended him, his wife filed for divorce. Karma had done what anger could never accomplish. I'd stopped sleeping beside her. The couch had become my refuge, the quiet where I could think, breathe, and finally see things clearly. One evening, as the rain tapped gently against the window, Lucia appeared in the doorway. She looked fragile. Her hair was unkempt, her eyes swollen, her voice trembling. "Divine," she whispered, "can we talk?" I nodded. She sat across from me, hands shaking as she held a small folded letter. "I know I've lost everything," she said softly. "My job, my name, even myself. But losing you," her voice broke. "That's what hurts most." I didn't interrupt her. I just listened, really listened, maybe for the first time in years. "I never meant to destroy us," she continued. "I was angry, lonely. You were distant, and I made the worst choice of my life. I kept telling myself it was just a mistake, but then it became a lie I couldn't escape." Tears rolled down her cheeks. "I wish I could take it all back. I wish I could go back to that night at the gala when you spilled wine on my dress and I laughed. That was real. You were real." For a moment I almost felt that old ache again, the part of me that once wanted to forgive. But forgiveness doesn't rebuild what betrayal burns. I stood slowly. "Lucia," I said quietly, "I don't hate you." She blinked, surprised. "You don't?" "No," I said. "Hate keeps people tied together. I'm done being tied to you." Her lips trembled. "So, what happens now?" I walked to the table and placed a white envelope in front of her. "These are the divorce papers. I already signed. You can stay here until you figure things out." She stared at the envelope as if it were a verdict. "You're really leaving?" "I left the moment you did," I said. For a long time neither of us spoke. The rain softened outside, the world indifferent to our ending. When I finally walked out the door, she didn't follow. She just sat there, clutching the letter in her lap, the same way she once held her lies. As I drove away, I didn't feel victory. Not even satisfaction. Just peace. Sometimes, revenge isn't about destroying the other person. It's about reclaiming yourself from the ruins they left behind. And as the city lights faded in my rearview mirror, I whispered to myself, not with anger but with finality. Sometimes the strongest revenge is walking away without hate. Like, comment, share, and subscribe if love your children and grandchildren.